Richard Barclay, founder and host of the Stonecrest Issachar Conference, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome each of you to this year's lectures. Let me begin by thanking my amazing Stonecrest Issachar Conference Executive Planning Committee. First of all, let me thank my wife of 51 years, Shirley Barclay, who organizes the latest sessions. Dr. Shari Miller, Executive Administrator, who takes care of communication and advertising for the conference, as well as presenting a lecture in this year's conference. Let me thank my own personal secretary at Stonecrest Church, Naomi Wright, for her valuable assistance. David Ferguson, who handles go out and secure sponsorships for us to be able to bring this conference to you. Ricky Miller, who organizes yearly our Issachar Conference Golf Tournament to be held Friday, September the 13th at the Crystal Lake Golf and Country Club here in Hampton, Georgia. Dr. Carlos Page keeps our website updated and in tip-top shape. And then the James Lead Dog Williams, whose Herculean task it is every year to edit and to upload the conference to YouTube and Facebook, and I would dare say the hardest working man among us. Let me especially thank and appreciatively applaud all of our lecturers for the sacrifice of your time and gift, both to prepare and present lectures as well as workshops to support our thematic thrust each year. Our thematic thrust and theme this year is the playlist studies from the Book of Psalms, where each lecturer has been asked to lecture on their favorite song. Now, we all have these smart devices called smartphones and tablets that give us the ability to go to iTunes or wherever and selectively choose songs that we will have on our individual playlist, dependent upon the situation, the communication, the mood. When I play golf, I have a special playlist when I'm exercising. So we can uniquely create playlists dependent upon the occasion, the situation, and or the mood. That's what we're doing this year as we study the Book of Psalms. You're going to find a whole lot of stuff that you did not know about structure, the psalm, the kind of psalm that it is. So we would encourage you to attend daily. And if you miss a session, that's okay. These are all pre-recorded. They have been uploaded and preserved on our Facebook and on our YouTube page. So if you miss a session, you can always go back and review that session. We also encourage you to make donations to the conference by simply going to the website, pressing the donations button, and follow the prompt. Your donations help to support two worthy missions and ministries of mine. Southwestern Christian College Scholarship Fund in honor of Dr. Richard and Shirley Barclay. We give yearly scholarships to promising ministerial students that attend Southwestern Christian College. And the second favorite ministry of mine is Keep It Real Prison Ministry, a ministry devoted to helping former incarcerated people to integrate back into the church, the community, and the largest society located and headquartered in New Orleans, Louisiana, and led by David Green. Because of your donations, we were able to send more than $5,000 to our college and Keep It Real ministry in 2023. And finally, we want to thank Doug Crozier, CEO of the Solomon Foundation, for your financial sponsorship of the Issachar Conference. And we can bring this conference to you without any charge to you. We only ask in return that you give donations in support of Southwestern Christian College and Keep It Real ministry. So prepare yourself now to be encouraged and inspired by the 2024 edition of the Stonecrest Issachar Conference as we explore our thematic theme and thruster this year, the playlist studies in the book of Psalms. May the Lord of the harvest bless you, and may he bless you real good.
The global population continues to face many challenging situations daily. Climate change, financial losses, fear, anxiety, sickness, death. It may sometimes seem like this season of gloom will never end, and many are losing hope. The future may be daunting, but in the midst of your hopelessness, I can assure you that God, who is the creator of this world, still has the world in the palm of his hands, and for this reason, you can still have hope.
We want to welcome you to the second session of this lecture on the playlist and exposition of the book of Psalms. Our thematic theme and thrust is that very notion, the playlist. We're taking this notion from these smartphones here where Apple and iTunes and have allowed us, Google have allowed us to individualize our playlist based upon certain situations like playing golf, uh, certain moods like romance or a wedding or even a funeral or a social or a dance where we can kind of individualize the songs. Of course, there was a time when many of us grew up where an artist would do a record, and the only thing on that record was uh, one song. And then, of course, we moved from that one song to an album. And on the album, the songs were listed in the order that the artist demand, whether or not we wanted to hear them in that particular order or not. So we were limited by what the artist or the record company decided we would listen to. Well, things have changed now. We got these mobile devices, we have these smartphones, we have these tablets, um, where now we can just individualize our playlist. If you like Luther, if you like Kenny G, you can buy all of Kenny G's stuff. You can buy all of Luther's stuff, but you can also decide, well, I don't want all of Kenny G's stuff. I don't want all of Luther's stuff. I just want these particular songs. Well, now we have the ability to individualize our playlist. What I'm suggesting to you is that the book of Psalms is the playlist for the Old Testament church. And not only the Old Testament church, and by church, I mean there the people of God. The people of God from the Old Testament, and then the people of God in the New Testament would have sang psalms. Uh, and all a psalm is, and I will give you a more specific definition uh, before, I think before this lecture is over. If not, then it'll be in the next lecture. Um, it's nothing more than a poem, and that's going to need some clarifying. It's just a poem set to music. Uh, and we'll get into wisdom literature as is categorized in the Bible, books like the book of Psalms, the book of Job, uh, and we call these wisdom literature. And there'll be a reason for that, as I'll explain to you later. But now, I talked about two things in the first lecture. I talked about the power of music, and then I talked about the impact of music. Uh, in talking about the power of music, I quoted from a book that I have recently read, where the authors argue convincingly, that is to me, that music has medicinal powers in it. You can look at the graphic on the screen that says that the power of music to integrate and to cure is quite fundamental. It is the profoundest non-chemical medication. Think that through. That music has the kind of power that, notice, it's called medication. It's called medicine, but with no chemicals in it. You know, the pills that we take for high blood pressure, and for those of you who take diabetic medication, and for those of you who take heart medication, or uh, uh, whatever your disease is. Um, well, you know, we put a whole lot of chemicals in that medication. But this quote says that the power of music has the ability to both integrate and to cure. And it says it is the profoundest, watch this, non-chemical medication. In other words, it has the power to help you process your pain. It has the power uh, of medicine without the chemicals in it. So we talked about the power of music, and then we talked about the impact that music has on us. And in fact, you saw this slide last week. How many times have you been on the freeway, on the road, 138, 155, 400, 285, 75, 285, uh, and I-20. We call them highways and interstates, but for us who live here, we know they're nothing more but glorified parking lots where, the traffic is slow because of the infrastructure. But that's another sermon for another time. But how many times have you pulled up beside somebody on one of these highway systems, and it seemed as if they were having their own block party and their own concert behind the steering wheel? And in fact, there are times when they would roll down the windows, um, and they were listening to their and they were, they were getting their jam on. And you can honk your horn, and they didn't even care except to look at your cross-eyed, particularly when they done missed the light. And so it has that kind of impact on us. And when we're on those busy freeway systems, putting on the right song, uh, even though you're frustrated in traffic, has the kind of impact on you to make your ride home, pardon me, just a tad bit easier now. Now, you're going to see me drink a whole lot of water doing this because pollen is out here in Georgia, and pollen is in the air, and that just works with my sinuses. So if I go to sneezing, and if I drink a lot of water, now you will know why. All right. Now, if you look at the screen and you look at the graphic on the screen, on the slide, that music and the right song has a way, and this is where I finished last week, has a way of taking you back to a time, to a place, and to a person. As I'm driving down the highways and the byways, and this particular song comes on the radio, I don't even know who wrote it, called Achy Breaky Heart. That song always takes me back to a high school football game in Longview, Texas, uh, because it was popular back in the early to mid 90s. The high school bands would sing it, would play it, the drill team would dance to it, uh, and the cheerleaders would cheer to it. Achy Breaky Heart. Every time I hear the song, it takes me back to that time and to that place. But I also said that music has a way of taking you back not only to a time, a place, and a person, time and place, but also to a person. And last week I related to you the death of my mother in the year 2000. And had funeralized her that Saturday, went back to Houston from my hometown that Sunday morning, and the song leader uh, got up and started singing the song, God Sent His Son. They called him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and forgive. He bled and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lived. And the chorus of that song goes on to say, because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future. And life is worth the living just because he lives. The final stanza of that song reads like this. And then one day, I'll cross the river and I'll fight life's final war with pain. And then, as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory and I'll know he reigns. And as he was singing that song, I broke down in tears. Well, tears of joy uh, and tears of happiness because the song, even to this day, when Willie Davis, one of our song leaders, Brother Cook, gets up, Brother Black starts singing that song, tears just well up in the corner of my eyes. Now, it's not a song of sorrow. Uh, it's a song of joy because the song reminds me. Now, it reminds me of Mama's death, but it reminds me of something else because the last stanza says, and then one day I'll cross the river and I'll fight life's final war with pain. And then, as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory and I'll know he reigns. In fact, I haven't finalized my funeral program yet, but that would be one of the songs I'm going to ask my wife to have sung at my funeral because I want the folk to know, listen, I've crossed the river. I fought life's final war. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory and I'll know he reigns. And that's all because he lives. Now, look what I just did. I took you to a time, to a place, and a person with achy breaky heart, with because he lives. But then there's another song. Uh, uh, it's from the Staples singers. Now, I know not everybody listening to me, particularly folk under 40 years old, will have any frame of reference to the Staples singers. But I want you to look at the graphic on the screen. On the left-hand side, you see the Staples singers. You know, back in the mid 70s, when I went off to college, it was there that I met my wife. And you'll see a picture of the both of us when we were just, mom and them would say, just snotty-nosed kids. That's us when we're about 18, 19 years old. We had met the very first day of college. And 3 years later, we were married, and we've been married now for 51 years. But every now and then, not every now and then, but every now and then, when they play those olden goldies, and when they strike up, I'll take you there. I don't care where I am. I'm going to, and it's Sis Barclay is close to me. I'm going to look at her. If we're in the house, I'm going to look at her. If we're driving down the highway, I'm going to look at her because that song brings back so many memories of our dating each other. And every time, even to this day, I hear that song, I'll Take You There, that was sung by the Staple Singers. It reminds me of our early days of dating and then uh, uh, being engaged and then getting married and now being married for the last 51 years. And I promise you, it's just like certain colognes that you wear. It reminds you of certain situations. I got I got some cheap cologne in my house called Brute. I don't wear it for me. I wear it for Shirley. Uh, all that expensive cologne that I have. Now she likes, uh, but that brute bottle like that, $2.99. It may have even gone up $3 now. When I put on some, and she gets a whiff of the brute. Well, let me get back to the message here tonight, this afternoon. What I'm trying to say to you is this: there are certain songs, there are certain sounds, there are even certain aromas, smells. I can tell you when football season starts. It's just a smell in the air, a fall in football. Uh, but certain smells and certain sounds and certain songs uh, takes you back to a certain time, to a certain place, and to a certain person. The ability of music to locate and resonate is why Christians love the Psalms. Let me try that again. The ability of music to locate and to resonate is why Christians love the Psalms. Because the Psalms are songs, I love this, written by people who knew what we are experiencing. Ooh, Doc Barclay, what did you just say? The Psalms, the songs written by people, watch this, who knew what we are experiencing because they knew what they were going through. You see, in the Psalms, let me walk slow through here. In the Psalms, we encounter this music, this poetry, these poems that identifies, resonates, and expresses how we are feeling. And watch this. Come on, be real with me. You don't feel the same every day. In fact, you don't feel the same all day, any day. But the Psalms are in the Psalms. We encounter this music that identifies, resonates, and expresses how we are feeling. While the Psalms are songs of praise and worship, beyond that, they express every human emotion that you and I experience as you walk with God. Oh, come on here now. You see, all of your walk with God is not blissful, it's not happy, it's not joyful. Sometimes, watch this. If you'll be real with me, sometimes you'll get angry with God. That's all right. The reason that's all right is because people in songs when they were angry with God. It's okay. People penned psalms when they had questions of God. Writers penned psalms. They wrote psalms when they thought God didn't answer their prayer. God didn't save their child. God didn't save their mother. God didn't save their father. Watch this, friends. There are psalms of the 150 that we have. There are psalms that cover every human emotion that you and I experience as you walk with God. You see, the psalmist knew about crib death. Hmm. The psalmist knew about forced abortion. Watch this. That they knew about political unrest. And they would write a song that expressed how they felt about the king. There are songs for that. The Psalms were written by people, watch this, who knew what it was like to be angry with God and would question why God would allow what happened to happen. Come on, have you ever been there? Has God ever allowed something that you just didn't feel? You just wasn't with it. You just wasn't ready for it. You didn't understand why your spouse uh, had cancer, uh, had a bad heart, uh, and died from cancer, died from a bad heart. And the fellow down the street, not even trying to live right, not even trying to do right, got heart issues. He's still living. Have you ever wondered why uh, you, you were in a fender bender and got all broken up, and somebody else called barely uh, got uh, scratched, and they died? There are men who wrote songs who were angry with God, questioned God. Why would you allow my child to die? Why would you allow my baby to die? Why didn't he have a chance? Why was he born with this disease? Why was he born in such a helpless situation that now I got to take care of him or her for the rest of my life and the rest of their life? There's a song for that. I want you to watch what I just put on the screen. There were people who wrote songs who wanted God because of their anger with God. They wanted God to put out a hit man on their enemies. Oh, come on, Dr. Barclay. You're making some stuff up now. These psalms, there's a category of psalms within the 150 that are called imprecatory. I'm going to say more about them later on. But right now, you need to know that an imprecatory song is a song that cry for divine vengeance. In other words, Lord, don't just kill them dead. I mean, folks, there are songs where people ask God to bash the head of babies. So, see, these are songs that cry for divine vengeance. They are an appeal to God to pour out his wrath on your enemies and the enemies of God. Let me give you one. Psalms 109. At verse 1, watch the way it starts out. Be not silent, O God of my praise. You know what they're asking for? Wait a minute. You know what these folk are doing to me? You, you know they're lying on me. You know they're treating me unjustly. Watch this. Why are you quiet? Why don't you do something? You you see what they're doing to me, and you sit on your throne, and it seems as if the cat got your mouth. You don't have anything to say. You're silent. So the psalmist says, "Be not silent, O God of my praise, for wicked and deceitful mouths are open against me, speaking against me with lying tongues. They encircle me with words of hate and attack me without cause. In return for my love, they accuse me, but I give myself to prayer." The psalmist goes on to say, watch this. So they reward me evil for good and hatred for my love. Am I talking to anybody? Can anybody feel what the brother's trying to get across to you? Look what the psalmist says. Appoint a wicked man against him. You see what I haven't read, don't you? He's asking God for a hit man. Lord, kill him dead. Wait a minute. And this is inspired literature. God allowed this to be put in his inspired record called the Hagios Biblos, the Holy Bible. Somebody praying, Lord, listen, I don't want no goody goody. Get me somebody from the hood. Now, everybody in the hood ain't bad, but you understand what he's trying to say here. He said, now listen, I want you to go to the mafia um, and get me a wicked man against the fella that's trying to hurt me, to attack me, who's lying about me. And he says, upon a wicked man against him. And then he says, when you get a wicked man, when you get me a hit man, let an accuser stand at his right hand. When he is tried, let him come forth as guilty. You see, y'all missed that thing. Say, listen, yeah, we gonna have a trial. We'll go down to the courthouse. But watch this. Fix the jury. Be sure the jury, before they ever hear the evidence, have come to the conclusion that regardless of what's said in court, be sure he's guilty. When he is tried, let him come forth guilty. Watch this. Let his prayer be counted as sin. When he starts trying to ask you for forgiveness, when he tries to articulate that he's sorry, whatever the request is, watch this, count it as sin. In other words, it's a sin that you even ask me for forgiveness. And watch this. May his days be few. In other words, since he's a hit man, heal him, healer, and kill her quick. And then watch this. And may another take his office. Ooh. See, if you were a careful New Testament student, Acts chapter 1, after uh, Jesus had gone back to heaven and they had to replace Judas Iscariot, this passage was cited and quoted. And look at verse 9. Ooh. The folk who's hating on me, the folk that when I try to love them, hated on me, they dogged me, they talked about me like I wasn't a child of God. They insulted me, they embarrassed me, they humiliated me. Then the psalmist says, the one who did that to me, may his children be fatherless. Oh no. Watch this. You just asked God to kill him. Now, he's already asked him to kill him because he asked for a hitman. So the psalmist, watch, he's so angry. He said, God, justice has got to be done here. Now, watch this. I don't just want to watch this hurt him. I want to hurt his kids. Oh, that's what the text says. May his children be fatherless. And watch this. And his wife a widow. Now, who's a widow? Somebody whose husband is dead. Watch this. Somebody is singing this song. Somebody is writing this poem. God, give me a hitman. Kill him quick. May his days be few. May his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. And watch this. And when he's dead, may his children wander about and beg. Ooh. Wait a minute. You got that much hate and resentment in your heart. But not only do you want him dead, you want his children to be fatherless, you want his wife to be a widow, and you want his kids to wander and beg, seeking food far from the ruins that they inhabit. I want them going to Alabama looking for some food. I don't want nobody in Georgia giving them a handout or a hand up. May the creditor seize all that he has. May strangers plunder the fruits of his toil. Let there be none to extend kindness to him, nor any to pity his fatherless children. May his prosperity be cut off. May his name be blotted out. Watch this. In the second generation. Yes. You done killed him. You want his children to be beggars. Now you want his grandchildren to be blotted out in the second generation. Ooh, what kind of hatred? What kind of resentment is in the heart of the one who's praying, who's singing, and who's writing this imprecatory psalm? And then it said, may the iniquity of his father. Oh, no, he didn't. You didn't kill him. You want his children to be fatherless. You want his wife to be a widow. You want his children to beg far from the town in which they live in. You want his grandchildren name to be blotted out. And then on top of all of that, Watch this. May the iniquity of his fathers be remembered before the, wait a minute. Not only have you talked about his children, his wife, his grandchildren, now you want the folk who lived before him name to be blotted out. My goodness. And then watch this. Count as sin to his mother. The very fact that she hated him. Go back and rewrite the record. Tell his mama it was a sin for her even to have him because of his hatred toward me. And then he says, let the memory of all of them be wiped away from the earth. That's what you call an imprecatory psalm. Got another question to ask about that a little later in the presentation here, but I want you to watch this. Regardless of where you are in life and what you are going through, there's a psalm written just for you. If you have ever prayed and felt like you didn't get an answer from God, there's a psalm for that. If God has not taken care of your enemy and you want God to kill him dead, I just read that one. There's a psalm for that. If you feel like the bottom of your life has dropped out, there's a psalm for that. If you find out that your friends on Facebook are few and fake, but your enemies are real and plentiful, there's a psalm for that. If you feel like you have more month than money, there's a psalm for that. If you have to watch a baby, a loved one die, there's a psalm for that. And if you feel like you want to slap the taste out of someone's mouth, there's a psalm for that. Now, you'll notice that I didn't give you any scriptures for these because I know some of y'all sit at home saying, oh boy, Dr. Barclay, put the book, chapter, and verse up there for all. No, you just gonna have to read all the Psalms. See, because if I give you what I just put on the board, you're gonna run to those Psalms and read those. But I want you to learn to love the Psalms. And I'll explain about all that stuff I just said to you from Psalms 109. That there's a way that you are both to interpret and to understand that. And we'll get into that a little later. Now, I want you to watch this, for instance. You may be surprised to know that some of your favorite gospel music are nothing but Psalms. Huh? You mean those artists didn't make that up? Watch this. Order my steps in your word, dear Lord. That song is taken from Psalms 119, verse 133. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. The song, total praise, is Psalm 63 and verse number 4. O Lord, how majestic is your name in all of the earth. That's Psalm 8. Some time ago, Christianity Today is a nationwide religious magazine. very popular um, among Christendom, uh, did a survey, um, and the survey revealed that the Psalms are the most known scriptures in the body of Christ. The book that people are most familiar with in all of the 66 books of the Bible is the book of Psalms. In point of fact, some of your favorite scriptures are Psalms. Really? Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. That's a psalm. Psalms 30, verse 5. Thy word have I hidden in my heart, that we learned in Sunday school a long time ago, that I might not sin against thee. That's Psalms 119, verse 11. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. That's Psalms 119, 105. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. That's Psalms 37, 1. If it had not been for the Lord on our side, that's Psalms 124. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. That's Psalms 103, verse number 1. We learned this in the Sunday school. We hear this in church perhaps more than any other, almost as more than any other. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. That's Psalms 122. And tell me, who does not know Psalm 23? You have to be from uh, Mars, Jupiter, not to have heard, the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. Now, having said all of that, the Hebrew title for the book of Psalms is Sefer Tehillim. The Hebrew title, not the English title, the Hebrew title for the book of Psalms is Sefer Tehillim. Sefer means book. Tehillim means praise. So the Hebrew title, the Hebrew name for the book is the book of praises. That's what Psalms is. It is the book of praises. Now, interestingly, that's the Hebrew title for it. But in the Old Testament, there was what was called the um, the Septuagint. Now, the Septuagint is the Greek translation of the Old Testament. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew. But there came a time when many of the Hebrews no longer spoke the Hebrew language because Rome had dominated the world and forced everybody to learn Greek. So what they had to do was to translate the Hebrew into Greek. That translation is called the Septuagint. Now, the Greek translation of the Old Testament, rather than translating the word Tehillim, the word for praise, they used the term Psalmos. Psalmos. You may be surprised to know that's the word that is used in Ephesians 5, verse number 18 through 22. Now, the Greek term Psalmos is a term that means a song that was sung to the accompaniment of a stringed instrument. Psalmos is a word that they understood to mean not just a song, but it was a song that was sung to the accompaniment of a stringed instrument. Ephesians 5, 19 and 20 says we ought to sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Now, um, one of the lectures that you're going to hear during the conference and on Wednesday night is going to deal specifically with that text. But let me say to you right now, because some of you are getting anxious and nervous at home, not all of the Psalms were sung to the accompaniment of a stringed instrument. There were, in fact, a cappella singing, even in the Old Testament. So don't get it twisted there, and don't get anxious. But there were some songs that were written and created and composed to the accompaniment of a string instrument. So when the Hebrews used the term Tehillim or praises, they meant poems that have been set to music. Two more things, and I bid you a good day and good night. The book of Psalms has the distinction of having both the longest and the shortest chapters in the Bible. Psalms 119 is the longest chapter in the Bible with 176 verses. Psalms 117 is the shortest chapter in the Bible, in the book of Psalms, with only 2 verses. Now, some of you have been listening to me teach and preach long enough to know that you've heard me say on previous occasions that Psalm does not have chapters. Psalms have divisions and numbers. Yeah, I'm not contradicting myself. I'm accommodating myself to your understanding. All right. Psalms are numbered. We don't have chapters per se, like we do, like it is structured in other, places in the Bible. But you don't need to be concerned about that one way or the other, since you have been so accustomed to calling them chapters. We're just going to keep on calling them chapters. Although when you hear somebody say chapter 23, you know they didn't listen to this lecture, but that's all right. Now, watch this. Of all of the books of the Bible, ooh, this thing about to get good now. Of all of the books of the Bible, Psalms is one of the most difficult books, both to interpret and to understand. For 4 reasons. The reason Psalms is one of the most difficult to interpret and to understand has to do, first of all, with the time period. Secondly, has to do with the complexity of the book. Thirdly, has to do with the vivid imagery and the use of figurative language. And perhaps the most important of these 4 is the uniqueness of Hebrew poetry. Now, in the next lesson and in the next lecture, I'm going to cover these 4 elements to give you some tools and some principles and a handle on how to both uh, interpret and to understand uh, uh, one of the most difficult books in all of the Bible. Now, I know you think it's easy, uh, but that's why so much misinterpretation has occurred from the book of Psalms. But I will just leave you with this one note uh, in regards to the time period. And this is one of the reasons the book is so difficult. The Psalms were written over a period of 1,000 years. Think that one through. From Psalms 1 to Psalms 150 that we have recorded, all right, were written over a period of 1,000 years. I'm going to leave you with this note. That's one book that takes more than 1,000 years to write. I'm going to show you the difficulty that comes out of that. But I want you to watch this as I bid you good day and good evening. There are 27 books in the New Testament, 39 in the Old, 27 in the New. The entire New Testament was written between AD 48 and AD 96. That's 48 years. Within a 50-year time period, 27 New Testament books were written. And yet the book of Psalms is written over 1,000 years. Just think about it and join us for the next session of the playlist. But until then, may the Lord of the harvest bless you, and may he bless you real good.